New Year is around the corner, which means 2024 is around the corner. And I'm going into next year feeling like a brand new me. So we're going to be talking about a Nicolas Cage movie. Somehow he has managed to squeeze in one more movie before the end of 2023. And we're going to talk about it. It's called Dream Scenario. I'm back. My name is Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British website for all of your news, reviews, and exclusive interviews. I like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. Now, you will have noticed on the Twitter or the X or whatever you want to call it, Phil has changed our strapline to Nerdly, the biggest website you've never heard of. And in some ways, that's kind of true. We are a massive, massive website. We get amazing numbers. We do really well. But not everybody knows who we are. And I'm out there trying to push myself, push everything out there. So please do take 2 seconds, go over to Twitter, go over to Facebook, go over to nerdly.co.uk and let us know that you're there. Or if you're just wanting to sit here and watch my video and vibe on what I've got to say, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and ding that notification bell. We are going to be talking about a new Nicolas Cage movie. As we all know, Nicolas Cage is one for making about 30 odd movies a year. And I thought he was done for the year, I really did, but it turns out he still had time for one more. We're talking about a movie called Dream Scenario, which on paper, when I read the synopsis, I was in. And then I saw comments like, Nicolas Cage at the top of his game. Nicolas Cage has never been funnier. Nicolas Cage is awesome in this movie. So, it was one of those things where, yes, I'm going to check it out. And it's A24. It's been put out by A24, who tend to put out really, really great independent stuff. So, I was looking forward to watching this one. I knew nothing about it, other than it's called Dream Scenario. And, yeah, let's get into it.
Why does the zebra look the way it does?
So embarrassing.
Hey, focus.
Is this how it went?
No, it's different now.
Oh, you've been on my mind recently.
Yeah?
Because you keep popping up in my dreams. You don't do anything, you're just there. So, this specific person, the remarkable nobody, I've also had that experience.
Do you have a picture?
And I'll give you a quick little rundown of how this thing is going to go. It's always the same, always the same. Yes, I'm going to talk about the plot of the movie, then we will get into the cast and crew of the movie, then I will talk about what I did and didn't like about this flick, and then at the end, I will give you my Nerdly Out Loud rating. It is my rating, not the rating of Nerdly on the whole, but you can take mine to the bank because I'm awesome. So that is the rundown of how we're going to do this. I like to keep things formatted so that I know where I'm going, where my train of thought is. So yeah, let's get into the plot. And the plot is extremely simple. It is very, very simple. Nicolas Cage plays teacher Paul Matthews. And to be honest, he's a bit of a drip. He's not got much going for him. He ain't got much about him. He's just kind of this guy who is out there. He's a tenured professor and he's getting himself out there, but he's not really known by anyone. And that's the kind of role we're going to be getting from Nicolas Cage here. He doesn't really deviate. He's looking very different, which is something I always have to commend about the guy. He's always happy enough to change his body shape, his body frame, the way he acts and everything like that for all these movies. And he's going around his everyday life. There's an old colleague of his who has written this paper, so he's a little bit pissed off about this because it turns out he helped her or he gave her some of the ideas for her thesis, so he wants to get in on that. But what we start finding and what we start seeing is that people seem to know who Paul Matthews actually is. He's led a very non-eventful life, as it would seem, and he's just sort of that guy down the street. But people seem to know who he is. People seem to be recognizing at least his face. And this starts getting weirder and weirder as the movie goes on. Eventually, Paul finds this very, very strange and needs to maybe sort of get to the bottom of it. And what we find out is that he is now entering people's dreams. Strangers are dreaming about him. At first, it starts with his daughter, which is sort of normal, so you don't really see anything wrong with that. And then it's a waitress at a restaurant. She kind of recognizes who he is. What really starts to become really weird is when complete strangers that he does not even know are dreaming about him. Not necessarily about him. They're dreaming about something that's happening, and then Paul just kind of walks into their dreams, doesn't do anything, no matter what the situation is. There can be an explosion. So then it becomes a thing of like, it goes viral. Everybody's talking about it. Millions of people around the world are now having this man that they don't know walk into their dreams. And that's kind of the premise of the movie until it becomes that he's not just not doing anything, he starts to do things. Maybe you wouldn't want him in your dream to do these things. It's a bit strange, it's a bit awkward, and it's a bit of a cool concept. I won't lie. I really got into this film for the concept. I thought, yeah. And there's really not a lot else to say about the plot because, to be honest, it's one of these movies that just kind of trundles on. It doesn't have massive big twists and turns. There are a couple of little twists, but things you kind of expect to see coming down the road. And that is the movie. It's him trying to deal with this new level of celebrity, but then also having to deal with the decline of that celebrity when people don't want to talk to him or don't want to go near him because, well, in their dreams, he's a bit mental. Yeah. Let's talk about the cast and crew. First and foremost, Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage as Paul Matthews. This is a great, great performance from Nicolas Cage. An almost unrecognizable performance from Nicolas Cage. But we don't see Nicolas Cage in this movie, and that's what I like about Nicolas Cage. It's like when he made Adaptation. Like, you knew it was him, but my God, did he look different. So here he is. He's sort of like become totally different. He's a bit of a hulking man, kind of slouched over all the time, big bushy beard, and just kind of looks really old. Do I think this is the best performance he's ever done? Do I think this is Nicolas Cage at the top of his game? Do I think he's never been funnier? No, I honestly don't. I genuinely don't. I think in movies where Nicolas Cage isn't trying to be funny, he is funnier than this movie. There are funny moments, there are awkward moments, there are awkward silences, awkward pauses. There are some very funny moments, but nothing that really gets near Raising Arizona levels of Nicolas Cage. So I do just want to address that, but he is putting in a good performance in a movie that has a fantastic concept that I wanted to see. I really like Julianne Nicholson in this movie as Paul's wife, Janet. She is kind of like almost this sort of downtrodden, well, not even downtrodden. She's kind of just accepted her lot in life. This is what she is, who she is. She's married to Paul, and that's just that, you know? And she kind of just getting on with her life, being a housewife and being Paul's wife and having her two daughters. And she's quite okay with it. She doesn't seem to be reaching for the stars. She doesn't seem to be unhappy. But I did like the performance she was putting in because there was a lot of nuanced stuff that if you're willing to look for it and you're willing to appreciate what an actress is doing when she's not really doing anything, you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot. I loved Julianne Nicholson in this movie. Jessica Clement as Hannah Matthews and Lily Bird as Sophie Matthews. Again, can't really fault them. Typical teenage daughters, absolutely brilliant. Really like them. Lily Bird especially does have a little bit extra going on in this movie because the whole movie kind of starts with a dream of hers in which her dad's not doing anything to help her kind of thing. And it's cool. Like, I quite like Lily Bird in this film. Now, it's not exactly a stacked cast by any stretch of the imagination, but in certain places we do have some nice little, I wouldn't call them cameos because they do have more than one scene, but we have some nice little moments with Tim Meadows, who you may remember from Mean Girls, plays the head teacher in the original Mean Girls. Reboot to that coming out. Don't want it, don't need it. But yeah, he played the head teacher in that. He's like an SNL alumni. Really like Tim Meadows. He has this amazing dry wit about him where he can make something that isn't funny just seem hilarious by doing very little in that situation, and I loved it. It was fantastic. And another guy that I really like, Dylan Baker. This is an actor I've always been a fan of. I love it when he turns up in little movies like this, little independent movies like this, because you know you're going to get a good little performance out of him. Is he amazing? Not really, but he doesn't have a great deal to do. He's only really in 2 separate scenes, and that's fine, but it's good to see him. And of course, when Paul starts going viral, he decides he wants to tell a story, he wants to have his book out there, he wants to do all of this. That's when you bring in the big guns and you go to the publicists and Michael Cera, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, Scott Pilgrim himself popping up in this movie. He is a great actor that I just can't get enough of. Scott Pilgrim's one of my favorite movies of all time, and he is the balls in that movie. So, Michael Cera, if you want to keep popping up in movies, keep popping up. That's pretty much the bulk of your cast. So I do want to talk about some behind the scenes guys. First of all, director Kristoffer Borgli. Now, I don't know anything about this guy. I've not seen anything else. I did check IMDb. He's made lots of short movies and he's made a couple of features, but he's not somebody I'm aware of. I will say he's done a cracking job here with this story. The concept is very, very intriguing. It's very good. I wasn't really sure what it was going to do, so we'll talk about that in a second. So it had me from the start till the end, really, and he's done a great job. But what I will also say is I don't think this movie cost a ton. Now, we know these A24 movies are usually quite low budget, so we know that he didn't have a lot to deal with. But it does seem like whatever money he's had, he's been able to stretch it. And some of the credit for that, for me, goes to DOP cinematographer Benjamin Loeb, because this movie looks gorgeous. There are some really weird shots, really weird angles, but they kind of lean into the whole dream sequence modes of it all. But Benjamin Loeb genuinely has shot a great movie here. If ever there was a movie that the music accentuated what was happening, it's this movie. Great score, great soundtrack. I really, really liked what Owen Pallett did here. So yeah, let's get into what I did and what I didn't like. I'm gonna start with a bit of a negative, because I've been pretty positive so far about all the actors and everything like that. I've been pretty positive. The only negative that I have is I feel like Kristoffer Borgli, director, and I believe he wrote it as well, had an idea. He had a fantastic idea, an intriguing idea, something that you could really mess about with. Christopher Nolan sits down and he had bonkers batshit ideas, and then he's like, we're going to do that in its most simplest form, and then we're going to blow it up, push it out, and just make it this epic thing. I feel like that's what Kristoffer Borgli was doing here, but then just had no real idea where he wanted it to go, what he wanted it to do, or what he wanted it to say. I get it. It's like this whole viral thing, and then there's sort of like a social commentary towards the end of the movie. It just, to me, started to meander to the end, and I wasn't really sure, I don't want to do spoilers, but you don't really know fully why it's happening at all, really. You don't really know why it's happening. I do think that I have seen something on the internet where this actually happened, or this does happen, and this is one person that millions of people have said that they have seen in their dreams. So I realize you're playing on that, and that's cool. But for me, this movie just didn't seem to know where it wanted to go. I enjoyed it. I was intrigued right the way to the end. Honestly, it didn't lose me one bit. But that's a testament to the fact that I can sit and watch a movie like this that doesn't really do anything. And it's a case of I don't know. I just feel like it lost its way. It lost its way. Awesome concept, really good concept, not the best execution of the final third of the movie. But the things I do like is mainly, I love the score. I think Owen Pallett, as I said before, has done a great job with the score. Cinematography is excellent. I could quite happily watch a sequel and see where this goes. I don't know what you would do with it, because it is one of those ones that kind of ends and you go, that was nice. That was nice. And then that's it. You probably won't talk about it again for a little while. And I do genuinely like the concept. I just wish there was a fully... And I don't need to be told everything all the time, but I need kind of a full, coherent sentence from you. And I felt like I didn't get that. A lot of people will get it, and a lot of people will love it. It might just be me not getting the concept, but I just love the idea. So, yeah. And with that, I'm going to jump into my final rating, my Nerdly Out Loud final rating of this movie. And once again, I will say everybody involved has done a great job. You've made a great movie that kept me intrigued right the way throughout. The synopsis of the movie made me want to watch it because it seemed like an interesting idea. I do think it fell off towards the tail end of the film. It's why, for me, unfortunately, I can only really give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. That's kind of the best I can do here. The concept and the idea was absolutely on point. I thought, yes, this could be super interesting, But I don't know, maybe we didn't have enough money, maybe we just didn't have enough creativity, although there are some very, very creative things in here. I feel like Nicolas Cage could have got very deep into his bag with this movie, but it just didn't manifest itself. And that's why I'm giving this movie 3.5 out of 5. Please do, everyone, go and check it out. You have to check out low budget independent cinema. You really do absolutely have to check it out. A24 is a fantastic studio, and they are churning out some great movies. I don't think this one's going to be a big one in their library. I do think people will check it out and it will get some sort of cult sort of like following. Just the fact that Nicolas Cage is in there really gives it that anyway. But they have got some fantastic stuff in their library, so please do check out more of their stuff. My name's been Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home, full of your news, reviews, and exclusive interviews. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and ding that notification bell. 3.5 out of 5, Nicolas Cage. You will be back in the new year, I'm sure, with another 30-odd million movies. So, I'm out.